Second is the social and financial difference in the public arena from an agrarian to a mechanical economy. During this time, work and cycle commonly performed by hand were replaced by new machines that could perform tasks even more profitably. But new strategies and mechanical assembly unravel work and extend yield. Industrialization introduced new issues as well. A segment of the impediments include air and water pollution and soil contamination that achieve a basic disintegrating of individual fulfillment and future. Industrialization furthermore exacerbate the unit of work and capital. The people who guaranteed the techniques for creation ended up being unnecessarily rich, achieving more broad compensation dissimilarity. Industrialization influenced society in various habits. Workers were obligated to leave their families and move to metropolitan zones search for occupations. Their work expanded period and were inadequately taken care and live in starved conditions which provoke disorder and stress. Next, monetary drawbacks. Industrialization achieved a broader opening between the rich and poor due to the division of work and capital. The people who own capital will, when all is said and done, store up on less advantage from their money-related activity, achieve a higher dissimilarity of pay and wealth. Other than that, social weakness, industrialization routinely brought the development of the worker to metropolitan network. As a result of this component, mechanical production system worker will all in lost their unique goods, have limited occupation satisfaction, and will antagonize. They can in like manner be clinical issue invite by unsafe working condition or factor characteristic to the working condition. For example, uproar and soil, quick urbanization in part of the industrialization usually from the general road of worker individual fulfillment and various issues for society. For instance, bad behavior, stress, and mental issue, long working hours by large did to vulnerable sustenance and usage of energetic and awful quality sustenance achieve extent even of affliction. For example, diabetes, respiratory disappointment, and stroke. This point is only the commendable issue of the second base in government health monetary viewpoint, advancing contention in an industry with dirty monopolies may construct pollution. Finally, beam donut zone mechanical methodology has ordinarily centered around region. The discussion is picking camp, considering severity of close to great position is generally about which region should get specific treatment.
Hi, my name is Nufarahan and I'm going to present about the main objectives and the goals of the industrial policy. There were 5 different types of main objectives and the goals of the industrial policy. The first policy is the wealth distribution policy, industrial policy, where in 1969 there were ethnic youths in Malaysia. In response, in 1970, the government launched the new economic policy, which aimed for eliminating the poverty and also resolve the inequality distribution of wealth among various races. Next is export promotion industrial policy, which this policy focus on to promote the manufacturing industry, targeting the international markets. Furthermore, the import distribution policies. There are two forms of import distribution policies that was executed by the Malaysia government, which is the first form aimed to encouraging the growth of the light industries such as food and painting, while the second form focus on the heavy industries such as steel and car industries. Moreover, the response in globalization's industrial policy, where these policies aim to open up the domestic market to the foreign companies. And lastly is in National Industry 4.0 that was launched by Malaysia, also known as Industry 4 WRD. The main objectives of this policy is to attracting the stakeholders in Industry 4.0 innovations and procedures, and further enhancing the appeal of Malaysia as a chosen production location, creating the correct Industry 4.0 environment to be implemented, and connecting current and future growth initiatives. Also transform the industry strengths of Malaysia both comprehensive and efficient way. Next, I'm going to talk about the goals in different types of industrial policy. So the first is the wealth distribution policy, where the goals of this policy is to prevent the unfair allocation among the different races in Malaysia. For the export promotion industrial policy, the goals of this policy is to support the manufacturing industries. Next, the substitution industrial policy goal is to improve and also expand the local industries using various approaches such as tariffs, import quotas, and also government subsidized loans. While response to globalization's industrial policy goal is to provide the companies with a lower production costs in a superior competitive positions to achieve a higher number of good services and customers. Last but not least, the National Industry 4.0 policy goals and strategy are in support of the national strategy for the transformation of the manufacturing industry. They direct and measures the success of Malaysia in increasing productivity, enhancing ability and capacity for innovation, accelerating the shift to a higher skilled workforce, and widening the manufacturing sectors that leads to the contributions of the national economy.
Hello, my name is Isaac. I'm going to talk about the actors and the creations of policy. There are three actors who are involved in the creations of policy, whether it is indirectly or directly. Okay, first we have the politicians, the civil servants, and the public. Firstly, politicians who are involved directly in the policy by fulfilling people's demands. The politicians brought the matter or the issues to talk in the Dewan Rakyat or the Dewan Parliament to help the people overcome the issues. For example, the establishment of Malaysia industrial policy. Second, civil servants. Civil servants have the power
Assalamualaikum and hello guys. My name is Muhammad Rizlan bin Muhammad Rizal. Today I will explain one of my part, which is what is strategy of the industrial policy. First, implement an outsourced industrial policy. To maintain the high growth rate of the industry, Malaysia should focus on exporting mass production products, whereas to strengthen the economy in Malaysia, the government needs to find ways to export goods abroad to stabilize the economy in Malaysia, and KDNK needs to find ways to help small markets to increase their competitiveness to even higher levels. Second, intensively developing resource-based industries for export and diversify and enhance non-resource-based industries for export. From 12 selected industry sectors, several products, Malaysia must focus on one product that has been identified as an example of Malaysian brand rice production: palm oil production. This is an attraction to export Malaysian goods abroad. Third, develop selected heavy industries to support export industries. This strategy was chosen as the government is already investing heavily in some kind of heavy industry, because heavy industry requires sophisticated technology and high skills in where it is a problem in Malaysia. This policy requires the importation of both resources by holding joint ventures with foreign investors. This is to ensure the effective transfer of technology and project achieve success. Fourth, develop and use an integrated information service system. The government needs to improve the good information system to further expand the output of goods abroad by exporting Malaysian brand goods to be famous in all corners of the world, not only Southeast Asia but the whole country. Fifth, developing the technology and energy of the people. The point here is to create knowledge-based high-income employment opportunities, making Malaysia towards a high-income economy. So Malaysia needs to upgrade technology in a more sophisticated and good way. 6. Reduce spending on infrastructure construction by focusing on industrial growth in areas that already have the necessary infrastructure facilities, which means Malaysia needs to pay attention to the infrastructure available to improve the industry in the area by using good technology. 7. Modernize and restructure industrial structures by enhancing the development of small and medium industries, as this sector is the backbone industrial process as it turns out in Taiwan, and restructuring industries that are less effective but important in the national economy. To enhance Malaysia's global competitiveness, the government needs to increase productivity and innovation in the manufacturing and services sectors. Next, strengthen institutions responsible for the manufacturing of the development sector. This means that the government needs to increase Bumiputra participation in the economy and create a Bumiputra commercial and industrial community by providing seminar or basic entrepreneurship training programs. Last but not least, re-age existing industry incentive systems to foster higher efficiency and competitiveness. The government needs to formulate new strategies, upgrade new technologies, and give entrepreneurs the opportunity to venture into business so that they can be competitive with those out there.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Azli, and now I will talking about the evaluation on the effectiveness of the policy. So, in Malaysia, the formulation of industrial policy symbolizes the government determination to intensify the country industrialization process. So, the manufacturer sector is the main source of economy growth in the country. to implement an outward-looking industrial policy to maintain a high rate of industrial growth. Malaysia should focus on exporting manufactured products on a large scale. The growth in the export sector is not very satisfactory if compared to the domestic sector due to some weaknesses in the industrial sector where goods exported Malaysian manufacturing is too dependent on the handful of industries only such as electrical, electronics and textiles. So, the opportunity given by the industrial policy in Malaysia is to diversify the local industry through the chain between other industrial sectors will open employment opportunities and skilled manpower.
Hello, good evening to everyone. My name is Siti Atika binti Nasib, and I will explain for my part, which is recommendation. Let's go to the first recommendation. Through the 1968 Investment Incentive Act, the Malaysian government sought economic realism by facilitating export-oriented industrial growth. The Act extended the number of businesses available for growth investments, such payroll tax exemption and campaign deduction in foreign markets. The Malaysian government initiated the new economic policy in 1970. In reaction to the social tension that led to ethnic disturbances in 1968, the eradication of poverty in Malaysia was the key target of new economic policy. The industrial industry has been considered the most effective in eradicating poverty by creating jobs. Now we move to the second recommendation. Through MIDA, by promoting international multinational corporations to move to Malaysia to enjoy economic incentives offered by the secured sector. The Malaysian government also incorporated a global economic view. Malaysia's economic and industrial development has been encouraged by political stability, skilled labor, stable infrastructure, and financial incentive. The following organizations were founded in Malaysia in response to MIDA's advocacy for the transition of global MNCs to Malaysia: Clarion National Semiconductor Electronics, Microsystem International, Electronics, among others. Economic development due to the influx of foreign MNCs into Malaysia has resulted in job creation and economic development. The Industrial Coordination Act was implemented by the Malaysian government since 1976, which required the Ministry of Trade and Industry to oversee industrial production in Malaysia. The ministry was also required to monitor the issuing of trade license to businesses that fulfill the new economic policy objective. Next recommendation plans to improve the economy by recruiting talented talent through job creation. Growing competitiveness and increasing creativity are not recent. Dr. Mahathir proposed Vision 2020, a blueprint for Malaysia to achieve developed nation status by 2020. During his first term as Prime Minister from 1981 to 2003. And for the last recommendation is Malaysia has widely pursued industrial policies for export promotion for more than 40 years. This has taken the form of offering tax incentive and holidays, setting up export production zones and industrial areas. One might argue that competition policy is primarily about domestic market competition. This opinion is accurate. The promotion of industrial policy will be compatible with competition policy, and politicians need not to be worried about the future differences between these two forms of policies. For the conclusion, The new economic policy has not yet entirely accomplished its targets, and other topics relating primarily to social injustice have also been generated or stirred up. The new economic policy introduction has already taken place, and it could not be rejected by any of us. We should try to start identifying and positive start that came from the new economic policy and learning from its shortcomings rather than looking at the new economic policy negatively and continuously about its flaws. Instead of continuously criticizing it, we can all begin seeking opportunities to improvise the new economic policy in the design and execution of its future administration policies. The government should also play its position by specifically setting goals. The government has to make it known to the whole country on the priorities decided by both the government and the nation and what strategies the government will take to accomplish these goals. So that's all from me and from my group members. Thank you.